Last month, we tried without any success whatsoever to find the explanation the original disciples gave about Jesus, that God raised him from the dead. It turns out we don't actually have any writings from the original disciples, as William Lane Craig Lobar Bill claimed, suggesting he could actually prove the resurrection with that non-existent information. This month, we're going to look at another part of Lobar Bill's claim. Let's roll that clip again.
I just said a moment ago that I think it can be proved, by which I mean that you can show that the best explanation of the established facts concerning the fate of Jesus of Nazareth is the explanation the original disciples gave, that God raised him from the dead.
So, what are the established facts? And how can we have any facts when we don't have even the writings of the original disciples or anyone who directly and specifically claims to be an eyewitness to what happened to Jesus? Let's get our definitions in order first. The Oxford Dictionary gives a couple which seem relevant. A fact is a thing that is known or proved to be true. Under law, the Oxford Dictionary says, the truth about events as opposed to interpretation. Here are some other definitions from various sources. An observation that has been repeatedly confirmed and for all practical purposes is accepted as true. A fact is an indisputed observation of a natural or social phenomena. We can see it directly and show it to others. So obviously, having some kind of physical evidence would be fantastic. If Jesus died, was resurrected, and is still alive with his body, he could definitely give us that evidence. An appearance on the Howard Stern show, for instance. Or maybe Jesus could appear simultaneously, miracle style, all over the world. People could line up to play just the tip with the wound in his side. Or did that finally heal up? I worry about transom staph infection. Of course, there's the empty tomb, which we don't have either. The only way that would be relevant was if we could verify that Jesus died, was placed in the tomb, sealed up in the tomb, and then was gone when we opened the tomb 36 hours later. Although we'd still need to see Jesus alive again. So we're back to Howard. What does that leave us with which could be considered known and proved to be true? A fact. What can we see for ourselves and directly show to others regarding Jesus' death and resurrection? Nothing. All we have are stories which copy each other and which were added to, growing more fanciful and detailed over time, written by people with no first-hand knowledge in a language foreign to those involved decades and decades later. Someone's going to have to tell Joe Friday, we've got nothing.
Just the facts, ma'am.
My buddy Pine Creek Doug has put forth this thought experiment. Imagine someone comes forth and claims your loved one murdered a child decades ago. When we investigate, we can't actually locate this child in history. There are no verifiable contemporaneous records of this child existing. All we have is a name given to us by the accuser. Then we learn that the accuser didn't actually witness the murder. They may not have even been alive when the murder took place, since we don't have an exact date for the murder. There are even significantly disparate claims regarding when this child, the victim, was born. And despite other people later claiming that the accuser spoke to eyewitnesses, we can't verify that beyond people saying so. We later learn that parts of the accuser's story are clearly made up. The person says that there was a census at the time of the victim's birth, which never happened. They say that when the victim was born, there was a mass murder of male children ordered by the president, which clearly never happened. They say that when the child was murdered, people rose from their graves and hung out around town. Interview after interview, the accuser keeps adding information and details he didn't mention in previous interviews, with the accusations growing more spectacular and specific as time goes by. Then we find out that the accuser didn't even live in the country where the murder took place, nor does he speak the language, nor will he give us his name or tell us anything about himself. Would there be even the slightest little bit of belief in your mind that your loved one murdered a child decades ago? Of course not. The word fact is beyond irrelevant when it comes to the resurrection. It's an absolute insult to our intelligence, made solely for the purposes of deceiving the ignorant and emotionally needy. There are no facts of any kind, minimal or maximal. The only fact here is that at least one emotionally desperate, angsty teenager bought this story because he thought it was so wonderful, so fantastic, that he would have believed it if there was only a 1 in a million chance it was true. That's a pretty low bar, Bill. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching.